Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, I recently read a company called Inside Real Estate, which is based in Salt Lake City, recently acquired a pricing technology tool called DashCMA. And this caught my attention for a few reasons. I mean, of course, the world of real estate is often classed as a very traditional industry, but we're hearing more and more about PropTech solutions. So I'm very curious on how this industry is evolving. I also learned that the acquisition will further Inside Real Estate's technology capabilities and help guide agents and brokers through the difficult pricing environment created by the pandemic. So I invited Inside Real Estate CEO Ned Stringham onto the show to talk about the company and how they've made an acquisition during this incredibly uncertain time, and how the real estate industry can overall embrace technology integration and learn valuable lessons to come out of this pandemic stronger than ever before. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Salt Lake City so we can talk with Inside Real Estate's CEO, Ned Stringham. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Ned. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Morning, Neil. I sure appreciate the chance to talk to you today, and thanks for having me. I'm currently the CEO of Inside Real Estate, which is a cloud-based software firm serving the residential real estate market here in North America, the US and Canada primarily. And while I'm not a technologist by formal training, my bachelor's degree is in philosophy, and then I have an MBA from the Harvard Business School. But I have really a pretty long track record, about 25 years as an entrepreneur and investor in technology businesses. And my focus has been primarily on what are called B2B vertical SaaS businesses. That sounds like a bunch of lingo. Really, they're businesses, software businesses based in the cloud, serving a specific industry. And over my career, I've been involved in dozens of businesses, but there are really kind of 8 primary companies where I've served as the senior executive. So either the CEO or the executive chairman of the board, and as a direct investor. And these businesses have cumulatively raised about $225 million US in equity and delivered over $1 billion of equity returns to date. So a successful track record in that kind of area and space. And Inside Real Estate's one of those businesses. Briefly about Inside Real Estate, we provide residential real estate brokers, agents, and teams, which are just groups of agents that are working together and brand and go to market in a group fashion. We provide them with a leading tech platform to operate their business, successfully in this modern digital world. And the platform's called KV Core. It provides digital tools for reaching and engaging home buyers and sellers, in their search, their evaluation of properties, leveraging all forms of media and channels, including email, text, social media, websites, phone, digital print, and traditional, gives them access to traditional media as well. It then provides a CRM, which includes tools to nurture and track, analyze, and prioritize their prospects. It supports the transaction process and other back office functions, including onboarding of agents and commission calculations, disbursement, and integration with, highly used accounting solutions. And so this is really an end-to-end set of functionality that allows realtors insights for optimizing their resources and identifying and spreading best practice and really improving their productivity. As part of KV Core, our customers receive access to a marketplace of pre-integrated solutions. There's over 50 proprietary and third-party solutions at this point, and that allows them to add on and create their own unique capabilities and ecosystem tailored to their specific needs. Because, as you know, agents and brokers they're connected and they work together, but they also are separate. They operate as agents and teams operate as 1099s. They essentially have their own businesses and operate under the brokerage license and brand. So they're connected, but they need their distinction, and that's an important part of the market. The business Inside Real Estate was founded in 2010 with just over 200 employees in offices in Salt Lake and San Diego. And the company has a really strong track record of organic growth and profitability. In the last 3 years, the firm's become one of the largest software vendors in residential real estate. And, we're ranked the 5th fastest growing business in Utah last year. So, the business has had a good run. Hopefully that gives you a feel for me and the company.
It really does. And a question I've got to ask, though, is someone that's had a fantastic, successful career in real estate, entrepreneurship, CEO, bringing in billions of equity. How did your education and philosophy help you along the way? Because I've got a feeling it would have helped you at some point.
Yeah, I think, when people look backward on careers, they often, it's very easy to recreate some path that shows how it all made logical sense. Yeah. But when you're living it in real time moving forward, you're trying to have a plan and a strategy, but you don't know what for sure is going to work. You have to be committed to that plan, but you also have to be flexible and respond to kind of what the opportunities are. Technology is obviously an exciting field, and so I very early on, I'm an older guy. I'm in my 50s, and so I saw a lot of this transition, went through the .com rise and collapse, and really see the power of technology, both in how it can improve consumer lives and experiences, but also how it can make businesses so much more productive. And so I've kind of focused on this area of focusing on specific industries and helping them with their unique needs to use technology to kind of advance their ability to create value for customers and create better experiences.
And of course, real estate is considered by many as a very traditional industry, but the rise of PropTech is, of course, changing all that. So can you tell me a little bit more about how Inside Real Estate is embracing and leveraging technology to ultimately stand out from the crowd?
That's a really good question. Technology is having a profound impact in residential real estate, just like every other industry across the globe. It's fundamentally changing consumer behavior. It's allowing digital engagement, across the home buying and selling process. Consumers can more directly, search, explore properties, monitor what's happening in the markets they're interested in, evaluate that all from wherever and whenever they want. In terms of how agents can reach and engage customers, that's dramatically enhanced. There's a lot of digital channels. It doesn't exclude the kind of physical relationships and the kind of physical channels that were always there. It helps simplify, through automation, the complexity of the process. If you've bought or sold a home, there's a lot of moving parts and pieces, and in a kind of paper world, that's a lot more complicated. So it's allowing that simplification making it more transparent and easy. But unlike some industries, where technology is really destroying those intermediaries in the process, the people between the kind of producers, creators of product and the consumers, and kind of eliminating that. In real estate, residential real estate in particular, technology tools is really there to dramatically enhance the existing broker agent models rather than disintermediating it. And this is because buying and selling a home, is a major lifetime experience. This is not like, renting a video on Netflix or buying a product, on Amazon. You don't do this. Most people don't do this very many times in their life. It's a complicated experience, and, they can't afford to mess it up. And so they value an experienced, trusted advisor that can navigate them through that process safely and easily and efficiently. Sure, they want the best price in the process, but they need to make sure that they can have the confidence to take action. And that's part of, what agents and the kind of current model does. And so that essential reality, I think, is proving true, that those have tried to kind of disintermediate. We don't need agents. We don't need brokers. We don't need anyone in the middle. Those models have been generally quite unsuccessful and failed in this industry, even though kind of outsiders have come in and thought that we could make it like buying a Netflix video. Those haven't been successful. The real technology opportunity is, not attempting to turn it into that pure commerce experience, but it's about applying the technology to help brokers and agents transform their businesses in terms of how they reach and engage consumers better, the digital services they can provide them, automating out that complexity and the kind of mundane, repetitive parts, and make the experience significantly easier and more transparent. And in the end, all that leads to much, dramatic improvements in productivity for the agents and brokers. And so consumers will win big in terms of the experience, and the industry will win as well. And that belief is basically the mission of Inside Real Estate, is how do we help this kind of existing broker agent model use technology to make the improvements and step change enhancements so they can serve customers better, be more productive, and have viable, successful, healthy businesses.
And before you came on the podcast today, I did a little research, and I noticed that you recently acquired a pricing technology tool called DashCMA. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we're really excited about that acquisition. DashCMA, despite being a very young company, early stage company, has really created the most powerful and insightful home valuation tool that's available in the market. And at the same time as creating that tool, they've made the experience extraordinarily easy for agents to use and for consumers to see and experience. And it does this using comparative analytics, and capturing a large amount of historical data about properties and integrating this data, so they get a real fact-based picture of what a home's worth. When you think about what's my home worth, comparisons are pretty important. What Aunt Betty tells you down the street, your home's worth this. You've got your friends who tell you things. But bringing some more facts and real analytical rigor to that process is what DashCMA has done. And, since determining the value of a home is fundamental to residential real estate, having the most insightful, fact-based tool, that's easy to use, for inside real estate, that's a great way we can expand and enhance the value we bring our customers. At the time that we made the acquisition, DashCMA had focused building this business very deep, but it only had access to data for a small portion of the U.S., maybe 3%, let's say. And by integrating Dash into the inside real estate national integration database, where we have almost all of the MLS or home listing services properties throughout the United States and Canada. And so we can now provide this pricing capability across and home value capability across the entire US and Canada. And, it's a real great combination for us, in terms of what it brings to our broader platform. And the team, because this kind of innovative set of entrepreneurs and technologists that we've brought to the business. One of just kind of as an illustration of the kinds of powerful insights that this tool can do in the way it does comparisons, it can drill down so that you can say, for me, for example, in my residence, we're thinking about doing an addition to the house. And so, how much will, a certain amount of square footage, a certain number of new bedrooms, a bathroom, how much will that add to the value of our home? This tool will allow you to look at comparisons, compare those additional homes with, more bedrooms, different capabilities. It will allow you to think about things like, what's the value of properties when they have a view or they don't have a view? By looking at historical comparisons, so it can really drill down into those what have to date been hard to grasp parts of this mysterious "what's my home worth" evaluation. And that capability, I think, empowers agents when they engage with consumers. It can give the home buyer and sellers confidence in the price they're paying, and make things much more transparent and fact-based. I could talk about this one for quite a long time, but I think that's enough to give you a flavor for it.
No, what fascinated me when I originally read it was that straight away what stood out for me was an incredibly interesting time to make an acquisition. So can you tell me more about your belief that the real estate industry overall could just embrace technology integration and learn valuable lessons to come out of this pandemic and come out stronger than ever before? Because that seems to be your ethos there.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm involved in a number of different software businesses as a board member and actively involved beyond inside real estate. And it's interesting because what generally I'm seeing is an acceleration of technology adoption. You just think about it in terms of like this interaction here, where people have now gotten on Zoom because they were kind of forced to. Maybe there were some barriers and they haven't really used video conferencing calls, and seeing that you can get a lot done, and you really don't need to travel maybe as much as you thought. Now, I don't think it eliminates everything, but that's just a little example. In our industry, the same kind of thing is happening. People are realizing it works. They can do virtual tours of homes. They can engage and collaborate with consumers online through all those variety of channels, media, social media, email, text, websites, mobile apps. They're learning that it works, and they really kind of have gone through a bit of a mind shift that they need to accelerate that. And you see this kind of polarized effect of this pandemic, where certain industries that really are so reliant on the physical experience suffering, and the kind of technology-enabled side being empowered. we see it as a time to accelerate innovation and investment, not to kind of retract and hold back.
And speaking of your industry, what kind of trends are you seeing in the real estate market? Is there anything that stands out for you at the moment?
Well, besides the acceleration of technology adoption that I just described, I think, it's a very interesting place right now because you have, and I'm speaking kind of about the US, but you have very restricted supply of homes related to, relative to demand generally throughout the US. And that's coupled with these very low interest rates. And so those dynamics, kind of supply demand dynamics, have created a very strong seller's market with upward pressure on prices currently. And that comes, despite this, it's coming at this time where kind of on the other side of the coin, there's this high level of uncertainty of what the future holds because, given our inability in the US to really contain the virus, these high level of unemployment rates, the election, and the prospect of subsidies and mortgage forbearance going away headed into 2021, I'm not sure anybody really knows what will really shake out of this. However, I think, home ownership is really a bedrock of kind of the American dream and kind of, to me, Western civilization, the dream. And so, I'm certain that this is going to continue to be the case, and it's going to fuel long-term, residential real estate being an exciting business and technology opportunity.
And in the COVID-19 industry outlook report, is there anything that stands out for you in there? Did anything surprise you at all?
Well, I don't know if you remember back in, mid-March when the stock market was crashing and, there was a lot of uncertainty and people didn't know. I mean, I had no idea for sure what was going to happen to our market. And that created uncertainty. You could see that in the data, new listings just froze for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks in that last part of March and early April. But what was probably more unexpected was that, heading into April, May, things started to recover and new listings started to come back. The industry adapted quite quickly. I'd say, probably a third to 40% of the agents have kind of been very forward-leaning in how they're thinking about technology and trying to be aggressive. I mean, right at the very beginning of COVID, we said we've got to take some action here. We can't just sit and idly by. And so we launched this kind of COVID pandemic response program, which really did 4 things. For our customers, we provided a kind of economic deferral program around payments. We kind of share the pressure of this time when things were very uncertain and they didn't know what was going to happen to their businesses. We launched a very intensive virtual training in April and May. We did over 50,000 participant trainings in that time period. So, spring that's the season of selling homes. And so there were people who all of a sudden were idle, and we wanted to provide them a way to use that time productively by, in learning more about the technology and getting more prepared to use it going forward. We also provided some new customer, economic relief so they could adopt the technology during Q2 and, not start paying for it until later months. And then we created a financing kind of information and collaboration site where agents could go. They could find all the information about loan programs and assistance, and they could communicate and collaborate. And those were very effective. Those were very effective things. And then kind of later in May and the spring, people had adapted, and the markets, I think, really started to stabilize, and they've come back to a level that's not quite where it was before. But I think, honestly, to me, that was the surprise, is how quickly the industry adapted, how much fundamental demand there is for homes. Part of that is a supply restriction and imbalance, but the low interest rates have certainly helped. And so I guess those are the things that I've kind of seen coming out of our research and what we see responding to COVID.
And again, when I was doing that research, I also learned that you are helping agents utilize web technologies. So can you tell me a little bit more about that and some of those technologies that you're using?
Yeah, I mean, how we entered this market was historically, most of the vendors were kind of homegrown out of the industry. They'd built a blogging tool that they found effective as a real estate agent, and some of their friends and people in their office wanted that tool, and all of a sudden they said, "Hey, I'm going to have a blogging software business." And so the tools were often focused on specific parts of that end-to-end business life cycle, from reaching consumers and marketing and outreach and nurturing them and monitoring them, to managing the transaction and in the end paying people. And so there were a lot of vendors that were very specific point solutions around that. They also had focused in a different dimension, which is around this brokers and agents and serving those distinctly. And then this phenomenon of teams, which I described, are these groups of agents that work together and market together. And so it was a very fragmented industry. And what we have done is create a platform that services all those needs across that full business cycle end to end. So, whether it's social media, outbound email, websites, texting, all the search capabilities around properties, whether it's, managing and nurturing and having campaigns and ways to, automate the efforts of engaging consumers, or whether it's the transaction process and tracking a home buy and sell through all those steps to get it closed, whether it's calculating and dispersing commissions and doing the accounting. We've created all those functional things in a single platform for brokers. And then we've then said, we need that system to be something they can provide to their agents, basically the essentials. And for those agents, we also need a marketplace of add-on solutions. Some agents focus on being seller agents. They focus on finding people who want to list their properties and serving them. Some focus on, distressed properties. They focus on luxury property areas. They focus in many different ways. And so they need additional tools to buy to integrate into that platform that leverages the platform, but that tailors that business to how, tailors their solution to how their business works and what they focus on. And so we've created this marketplace, as I described, with 50 or so solutions and growing, that agents can use the system to tailor their business. And then we've also created a capability where a team can kind of create their own operating business within that broker business. They can brand themselves in distinct ways. They can decide how they route leads uniquely, how they operate as a distinct entity. And that end to end and top to bottom is a very unique thing. There might be one other competitor that has that full life cycle set of functionality. There's really no one that has this this top to bottom that can serve that integrated ecosystem that operates in an interdependent way, but also with independent minds, because agents have their own little business inside a brokerage business. Then what we've done is build some real intelligent automation across that cycle, and we've started to use artificial intelligence and predictive analytics to interact and engage with consumers early in the process, where the agent has to do very little in terms of the communication, and the kind of intelligent systems are interacting with consumers, providing them the kinds of homes they're looking for, responding to basic questions, and moving them through the cycle until it's really time for kind of that human-to-human interaction. I think in terms of future innovation, we're trying also to empower agents to extend that trusted relationship they have with the home buyers and sellers, and provide services that are beyond just that property and sale transaction. So things like making sure they have title insurance, warranty insurance, that the mortgage situation is right, then all the way into moving services, utilities, and how to hook up with utilities, and then the ongoing process of thinking about what's my home value? Could I refinance? Are there opportunities for me to do things there? And so that whole broader set of the home ownership lifecycle experience, and making that more seamless, and keeping the agent in the center of that as a provider and facilitator, we think that's kind of another wave of innovation that's ahead that we're working on. Hopefully that's not too labored and makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. And another topic that I wanted to talk about is we are in a period of uncertainty at the moment, and right in the middle of a recession as well, all across the world. But a lot of people say that a recession is often the catalyst for innovation, and because people start wanting to do more with less, and thinking differently, and changing how they work, and leveraging technology, etc. And again, what stood out for me is that at Inside Real Estate, you seem to be doubling down on innovation with investment that will support new cutting-edge innovations and expand your offerings to meet the needs of real estate professionals. But can you expand on that too? Because it sounds an incredibly cool moment to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. We totally buy into and agree with that idea that this is a time to innovate and to push forward more quickly, not to retract. And so this is really kind of our second phase response to COVID, and to the kind of challenges that are there, is to accelerate our investment in the product. I think, the business we've invested probably over $200 million in this product set. And we're now, right now, what we've launched is, we've called it a doubling down, as you've said, of our investment. So we're doubling our R&D investment in our product, and we're essentially pulling forward, 1 to 2 years of product innovation, and really trying to continue to push even harder. We've been kind of a huge innovator in the industry, and we know that's really in the DNA and roots of our business. And so it was a natural instinct for us to say, hey, let's do that. We're a profitable business, and so we can do that with our the kind of profits we generate. We've also had our primary investor, though, step up and say, hey, we want to put more money in. We want to demonstrate our commitment to the vision of Inside Real Estate and show, the kind of backing we have. So that's given us a great sense of confidence in a difficult time. It's made our people more excited. We're in hiring mode. I think in the month of July, we hired 15 or 20 new people. And we really are very excited about what we're doing. And one other thing I would say is, innovation is good, and often people think solely about the coder and building the technology. But to make that real and to deliver value for consumers and customers, you have to also think about how do you get that product to the market? How do you reach consumers about it? How do you communicate the value? And then how do you support it well? And so our investment is not just around more developers. It's around all of the capabilities needed to deliver that in a way that it creates value for our customers. And that means, we're hiring people around customer success, around how to launch and install these products successfully, not just, new developers.
Love that. And to end on a great positive note here, what excites you about the future of real estate, and what's next for Inside Real Estate too?
I think the themes that we've talked about already are kind of the impetus for excitement. Technology, the consumer's changing, and technology can be used to really enhance that experience they have and make our customers so much more productive. And I think it's an exciting time in this industry, and probably in many other industries, when you're kind of on that technology side providing those things. So, we're going to continue to innovate and grow, and we really feel like we've got a very, very exciting future.
And for anyone listening that would like to find out more information about the great work that you're doing there, and the innovation, the R&D, and so much more, or even contact a member of your team, what's the best way of doing that?
Well, I think it's simple like anybody else. It's insiderealestate.com. There's lots of contact there. You can chat. You can, get the phone on and engage there. That's probably the best way to reach us.
Excellent. Well, there's so much I've loved about our conversation today, and especially how you're doubling down on innovation and R&D at an uncertain time. And I think at the exact moment that people need to do that businesses need to do that, a lot are retreating. And that, of course, is the worst thing that you can do. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing that message with everyone today.
You've been terrific, Neil. And I want to compliment you on your preparation in kind of researching and understanding our business and asking really, I think, insightful and intelligent questions. Thanks so much for your time today. Have a great day.
Real estate is a traditional industry, but PropTech or property tech seems to be changing that. So a big thank you to Ned for taking the time to share those trends and data in the residential real estate market, how technology is affecting the entire industry, and also insights from that recently released COVID-19 Industry Outlook report, and also news about the interactive dashboard too. But if you've got anything that you would like to add to today's conversation, email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. My website is techblogwriter.co.uk. If you'd like any help launching your own podcast, outsourcing your business blogs or thought leadership blogs, or just browsing through over 1,300 other interviews that we've done with this show, give me a shout. Even if you've just got to ask me a question, I'll always answer every email. So keep those coming in, and I'll see you all bright and early tomorrow. So thanks for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.